Are you ready? I was born ready.
Obviously, you're a little, aggravated by the line of questioning regarding Canelo.
I don't want to touch this, dude is so bad. I don't want to touch his name.
I'm working on feeling the art of humbleness. Can you be with me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person no more. And I miss him. Because sometimes I feel like a bitch. I don't want that person to come out, because when he comes out, hell is coming with him. And it's not funny at all. It must sound cool, like I'm a tough guy. It's just, I hate that I'm scared.
It would be awesome to, being a great warrior. Maybe we would a Mexican.
Let's go! Wait,
I have to put the joke.
No, hey.
Thank you for playing, man. I appreciate
Good
you.
timing, man.
Can't put predictions, man, but I definitely don't want to leave it to the judges.
Estamos en vivo, ladies and gentlemen. Long Live Boxing EnVivo podcast with Manny Marrero,
Shauna Gringo Hicksa,
Hopper,
and our boy Hopper there seems to be lagging a little bit, but always breaking it down like it is, like it should be. Talking boxing every single day. A lot of different things are happening. Cards are coming in. Wow, what an event! But this is Hopper's show, man. Hopper, I heard you got some great things for tonight. Great card last week. We got some cards coming tomorrow. Got a lot of topics about to talk today, man. We're excited, man. Last night cards were no joke.
Oh, they were deadly, and that's how I could definitely start off with Franco, Joshua, El Profesor Franco. And I do apologize if I'm still lagging a little bit.
Yeah.
Need to get that adjusted. But that's where we definitely would love to start with Joshua, the Professor Franco. He challenged Australia's Maloney for the WBA secondary super flyweight title. And what do you know? Pulled it off. Everybody in Texas is not surprised by this. If you followed this young man's career, Joshua Franco, especially his trilogy against Oscar Negrete, he has the skills in him to become a champion, and he finally did. This is another case of when matchmaking goes wrong. They picked out Franco. He was ranked number 12 in the WBAs. They wanted somewhat of a showcase fight for Maloney, but it backfired on him. They didn't expect to see a motivated, well-prepared El Profesor, who trained by Robert Garcia, just looked sharp overall. And I'm thinking that it has something to do with the fact that Franco has the better gym, the better coach, the better sparring. I doubt Maloney was getting the type of sparring that Franco was receiving at the Robert Garcia Academy. What do you think?
No, I definitely agree, man. It was a great event overall, and we'll touch on the other fights that were on the card. I was thoroughly entertained. It keeps getting better. And yeah, you know what? I was thinking about my boy Hopper because he taught us that new phrase because, he's got that money maker in him, follow the steam, right? So when they kept referring to that on the show, they kept saying that the money on Vegas,
all the late money.
Yeah, all the late money, it went to El Profesor. So I was like, man, here we go again. And, I was watching I'm watching the fight with my pops. Great experience. He was really getting into it. He kept saying the same thing though. Like even though he was impressed with Franco, and he was, he was concerned that without that 11th round knockdown, which clearly he did need, that he just couldn't see Maloney not getting the decision. So he kept on saying, yeah, he looks good, but he has to keep putting more pressure. Honestly, he got kind of frustrated because he was upset with Tim Weeks he felt he was interfering when Maloney was bent over. He felt like, Franco should have had more opportunity to kind of go in there, even though technically that is a knockdown. His glove did touch. But again, my dad gets fired up pretty easy when he watches boxing. So I was right there with him. And I really was hoping that Franco could finish him off. But hey, he got the result. It was razor close. I was actually expecting another thing, Hopper, that we're going to do another Donkey of the Week. I felt it coming, brother, but thank goodness.
Repeat winner.
Yeah. I don't
We'll
think
talk about that. We'll get into that. Manny, what are your thoughts on the fight?
I don't really think that was one of those mixed matches. I think that definitely, Maloney came in too confident in this fight, and I think that everyone overlooked the, Franco's, past fight, especially that devastating loss against Argentina, Lucas Fernandez, and that actually was in a Complejo Ferial in Ponce, which is in, south side of Puerto Rico. But then having that trilogy with Oscar Negrete, 2 draws, and then, beating him at a, split decision and coming back pretty strong. I mean, we saw a completely different Franco last night. I was very concerned at the beginning. Of course, the Molina brothers, the other part fights tomorrow. They got a great chemistry together. What they're doing over there, with boxing as well. But the first couple of rounds, I was like, wow. I even told you, Hopper. Franco's got his hands full tonight. But man, he stayed in rhythm. He kept on punching. He didn't back out, and he really proved that he is what he is right now. San Antonio, Texas. It is a party down there. You have a new world champion, and that is in Franco. So I'm excited for this kid. I'm excited what's about to come. I don't know if there's possibly maybe a rematch. I would assume so. But hey, it seems like you said, man, you can't trust on the favorite at all times. I don't know if this pandemic did affect them or not, but hey, there are 2 fighters over there. Franco did his thing. It wasn't Maloney's night. And, shout out, because that was a very good performance on Franco's behalf.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to add real quick before I know you want to chime back in, Hopper, is that I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but the announcers, they're of course going to sell the fight and pick up on specific things. It almost like they were giving insight on why Franco was picked, right? They kept saying, oh, well, he's had those battles, Narete, like he's had those big 3 fights. Look at all the punishment he's taken. He's had some difficult, challenging wars, and, does he have anything left? They're almost talking like this 24-year-old man, now champion, was washed up. So I was thinking, like, man, matchmaking going wrong. Like, I was thinking that the whole time they were talking. Like, I mean, I didn't feel, I know that, a cumulative volume of punches can obviously wear on a fighter and it can impact them. But I felt good going into the fight. I like what Franco brought. And I thought that because Maloney is such a straightforward fighter, and kind of stands in front of you, and he likes to kind of extend himself by going to the body, leaving himself open for that counter hook. I felt like the little uppercut, which did show to be a real big differential aspect of the fight, was going to show itself. And I mean, of course, I say it right now, right? But I'm just so happy, and I'm glad the way it turned out.
All right.
No, yeah, definitely. Franco's 3 fights with Oscar Negrete proved he can definitely has a lot of tools in his arsenal. And that's what I wanted to touch on real quick. Oscar Negrete was due to face the other Maloney brother tomorrow, but he pulled out with an injury. And I gave Negrete a really good chance to win that fight as well. Both these guys can talk. We actually had the privilege of talking to both of them, Franco and Negrete, prior to their 3rd fight here in our own backyard. You can check that interview out on our Facebook page. But Franco went in there, took care of business. And remember when we were texting, guys, while we were watching the fight, I said, will Top Rank allow another Golden Boy fighter to go in there and take their title like they did with Teixeira and Adame?
Yeah.
I was concerned, and we definitely got to bring that up. The donkey of the week again, Mr. Moretti and Patricia Dorman. They had it 114-113. So if Franco doesn't get the knockdown in the 11th round, they were ready to call it a draw. That's how the scorecards were going. And
see, no, that's
Franco
a great point,
pretty much.
That's the thing, because I know you were excited. I was fired up. I actually couldn't sleep, and I knew I had to get up early in the morning, but I just kept on watching highlights, like a little kid. But I was thinking that, like, was that worthy? Was that donkey worthy? I guess it doesn't matter if your fighter that you want to win wins, right? It doesn't matter if the right fighter wins based off the scorecard. If you have a crappy card, you know, it's still a crappy card, and you impact the scorecard overall.
But can you imagine that he would have
Because
knocked them down? I mean, what a total chaos!
If he wouldn't have knocked them down, what would we be talking about right now? If he doesn't get the knockdown and they score it a draw, we're talking about how Franco won that fight, even without the knockdown, pretty convincingly, because I felt he pretty much did whatever he wanted to in the second half of the fight, like from round 7 through 12. Maloney did have some success, but it was sparse compared to the overall domination that Franco displayed. His counter-punching ability, his jab and work in the ring, his overhand right, everything was working for Franco. Maloney had no answer. Every time he'd jump up, try to hype himself up, he'd get caught. And it was that kind of a night for Maloney. And he actually had to go to the hospital. He was dizzy and throwing up after the fight, had 2 perforated eardrums. So he got wilder.
No, that's a good point, man, because that was another thing that I was going to say is, like, you know, not living in the past. Did you have that same feeling kind of going back to last week with DeMarco? Like, because going into this, even though my dad, you know, I guess he's half man, half disappointment times 2, right? But he was thinking like
senior.
Yeah, senior. He was so concerned. He was like, man, they're going to get to Maloney. He kept saying, he said they're doing movies on this guy. There's no way they're going to
brought that up.
He's the champion.
We text. I go, man.
He's the champion. They're the highlight of this fight. Their poster is hanging everywhere in Las Vegas. The Maloney brothers. You know, it's a Maloney week, basically, right? So were they too overconfident because of that, or was it really the pandemic didn't allow them to really get some nice sparring sessions? You know, how did they maintain themselves, or he just actually overlooked at Franco? There's a lot of possibilities in here, but I just honestly I saw a completely different after round 3. For me, I was like, wow, this is going to turn out to be great for Franco. And you know, and San Antonio fans and all the fans around to Texas that have been supporting Franco for the longest, because he's got a legitimate chance to win. And my concern was there. I'm like, I hope this guy either knocks them out or at least knocks them down once to make sure that he secures those cards. Man, when that happened, I said that like in the 9th round. When it happened in the 11th round, I'm like, this is secured. If the decision goes the other way because he's a favorite, I'm going to be pretty upset, and we're going to have a fantastic donkey show today.
They were close. They wanted to. They wanted to give it to Maloney. They wanted to so bad. I still give them the donkey of the week. Moretti and Patricia. Come on, y'all missed a great fight. It was pure domination by Franco in the second half of the fight. It's a shame. That's 2 in a row, Moretti. You don't want to keep winning this award.
All right. So, I mean, obviously, so it did turn out well. You know, Texas has, I believe, that's another world champion that we currently have. So exciting. So you have to talk about, where does this lead to? What's the next things? Before we get into the card, I would like, you know, just real quick, what do you guys think as far as what's next? What would you like to see? Do you want to see the rematch, Hopper? Do you want to see him fight Chocolatito? Who would you like to see him? The Rat King?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with it. That's exactly where I was going with it, because Franco, before he was feeling confident himself, he mentioned something, and I'm paraphrasing, that after he wins, he wants to fight Chocolatito. And so I would love to see that fight. UK fighters usually overhyped. Yeah. Well, he's from Australia, but he was still kind of.
I mean, shout out to you, Brandon. But yeah, to me, this is, again, not to put it on my pops, but the Maloney's kind of fit to me that old mode. Not like Luke Campbell, where you can see he's like more polished and he's had tougher fights, you know, all over the world, where it really seemed like they were building those guys up. Where
whoa. There's only one Luke Campbell.
No, but I'm saying, like, as far as the Maloney twins, like the way that the hype train was hype. You know, the hype train was coming into town, and it was like they were coming to take over Las Vegas. That's how they had set it up. And they did seem like they had matched up their guys well. And who's to say, you know, that Nagarete, like how he's not able to fight, that could work out in their favor. You know, the other Maloney, he could win tomorrow. But, you know, again, another great card. But let's So let's talk about as far as the rest of the card. Was there any other fights that you guys were excited about? I know Manny. There had to be someone on there. I know you've been dying to talk about.
I know Manny wants to talk about somebody.
Yeah, I mean, come
Little
on, man.
Smurf.
Go ahead and get out there.
Christopher Pitufo Diaz. Man, I have to say, first of all, man, shout out to Freddie Roach.
That pitufo, that means Smurf in Spanish.
Yeah, Freddie Roach is just in another league. Freddie Roach just takes boxers and takes them to a different level. He has the ability to remind your boxers that, you know what, stick to the plan, double jab, bring that uppercut, hitting them with a counter right hand, get that body going. And it was actually a show. And keep in mind, guys, this is not even compared to the Shakur Stevenson fight, which in fact Pitufo lasted the 12 rounds. And if you look at Shakur Stevenson's trajectory since he started fighting over 10 rounds, there's only two people that only have gotten to the distance with him. It was one Pitufo, the other one Joed Gonzalez, when he won the WBO champion for featherweight. Now, having said that, a lot of people were saying also that wasn't a really good match for either. These are top contenders. Don't take away from the fact that Sanchez had a brutal fight against Oscar Valdez a few months ago. He lasted the 12 rounds, lost to him. I mean, we all know Oscar Valdez. He was a great champion, before he moved up in weight. But, you saw the determination in Pitufo. He maintained himself in a great shape, guys. And this is what it's all about. When you have your motive and you want more than what you've had in the past, you are going through a lot of situations. The island of Puerto Rico is going through a lot of things. His family, that's important for him. That's what motivated him to have the performance that he had in here. I did see a glance at Sanchez coming in late in the 6th round. I got kind of concerned because now, Pitufo started kind of really going in the middle and exchanging combinations. The beginning of the 2nd round, it was the same thing. But guess what? That double jab, bring out the hook. You're going to get this guy. So, man, shout out for Pitufo. He's got great things coming up. I don't think he's going to have an opportunity right now for a major championship. There's just a lot of things that are happening down there right now. I don't know exactly. He won't have an opportunity with Shakur Stevenson again. That's for sure. He will probably go north. That'll probably make that title right there. I think the only fight, if he wants to have a title shot next, the only opportunity I would see is Josh Warrington because he's the zone. ESPN and the zone can pretty make some fights, but I don't even know if that's actually beneficial to him. As we know, all these champions, all they want is to start making money right now and unify. But there is a name out there that is very interesting, and I'm starting to hear a lot of buzz about that, and that is a match against Jesse Magdaleno. I think that this will be a great match for Pitufo. I know he's ready for that belt, but this will actually solidify him as a top contender, even for the WBA, that he can actually challenge Su Kan from China and probably contend for the WBA at that particular time. But, what we know is that the future is promising for Pitufo. Another great Puerto Rican star. Congratulations. We're pretty excited. It made my night last night. Great cards, ESPN.
Man, he's hype. Get out the way. All right, so, no, and he should be.
Shout
out to Brandon.
Train is on.
He said Magdaleno for vacant 126, or from what he told me, 122 title. Yeah, that was one thing I will say.
He said he can still make 122.
He can make 122. That brother wants a belt. So if it's not broken, don't
That's what he said after weight. That's what he said after post.
Yeah, he could do that back and forth, but I think it's who knows? It's difficult down there. I mean, I don't think he can go on against Navarrete, to be honest. That would be very difficult to there, and possibly maybe he could. I mean,
Hopper would love that.
So
Navarrete already outgrew the 122-pound division. He fought at 126. Bob Arum says there's no chance. He's probably going to go back down to 122. He's going to stay at 126. And they're actually trying to throw Jesse Magdaleno at him. So Jesse's a popular guy right now. Everybody wants to beat Jesse Magdaleno for the vacant 126. So we'll see who Top Rank wants to what do they call it in the wrestling business? Wants to turn over or wants to further promote. So we'll see who they decide to go with. But Diaz was impressive to me because what he did, what I saw him do a lot was he had his counter set up ready to go. He would throw like a feeler jab and have the counter right ready to go, and then follow it up with the left hook, a pull counter in the 4th round. It was a thing of beauty. He threw a little feeler jab. Sanchez reacted. Diaz countered with the left hook and an overhand right. I mean, it's a thing of beauty. And that's another another point that I want to make is that Pitufo Diaz, he does have accessibility with Freddie Roach, and just the training and sparring alone in that gym, just like in Garcia Academy.
Exactly.
Diaz looked way sharper than Sanchez did, and so did Franco. And there's something to be said about the sparring that you get. And right now it's hard to get. Those 2 gyms, the Wild Card and the Garcia Academy,
stable,
top of the line sparring. Those. I mean, your sparring partners are sometimes more difficult than your opponent.
Man, that's a great point, man. You're right on the money as always, Hopper. That's something that obviously has stood out to me, because I was like, man, he's definitely got a good advantage as far as his corner, and it showed. And he just looks so sharp. I'm gonna go take it another step further.
Very sharp.
Like, and I'm sure I'm gonna get slaughtered for this, man. I'll own up and I'll put myself, as far as owning up to overstating. I kept saying, when is, and I know it's going to get our boy Brandon fired up, but when is Shakur Stevenson going to fight somebody? Newsflash, he already has, man. Christopher Diaz impressed the hell out of me, man. Yeah. I know that everybody has a certain weight they need to fight at, but, I mean, the way he was so sharp in his footwork outside, boxing on the outside, and like Hopper said, timing, it just, man, that guy, he's not a tomato can, man. Like, so all that crap I said about, he had on his resume, I apologize to the world. Like, Christopher Diaz is the truth, man. So if he can make 122, I want to see him at 122. I just want to see him again. I was that impressed. I loved watching that fight. It was a great appetizer to an amazing main event.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Nothing away from Sanchez, because Sanchez was a very talented, opponent for him. So he had no answer to Pitufo's attack. He completely, destroyed his game plan. That jab, leading with that jab, and these are some of the things that a little bit more mature boxers they start gaining throughout almost the end of their career, especially with the kind of stable they have and the kind of corner. That's just something that we need to take in consideration. I don't know what's going to happen to Sanchez now. I feel bad because he's young, man. He's talented, but obviously last night he got he got destroyed. There was no answer. He was faking punches. He was confusing him. It's like, what is he going to throw now? Oh, down to the body. Oh, I'm going to throw that uppercut now and again. Oh, overhead. I'm going to counter with my right hand overhead. So there was no answer to Pitufo's aggressive attack last night.
No, man. He looked like a champ.
Definitely. And go ahead, Sean.
No. I was just excited. I was getting caught up in the hype train from Manny. I was saying he looked awesome, and I felt like I was watching the champion. And I'm drinking the Kool-Aid right now, but my bad.
Well, I don't want to be the I don't want to be the Mexican hater or whatever, But I want to go from the high point Puerto Rican to the low point Puerto Rican. What's up with your boy Joseph Adorno? I mean, boy can't make weight or what? Eating too much food. Best hands.
We talked about this in the past. The responsibility of a boxer, that you must make weight. We get that. Now, taking consideration the pandemic, taking consideration you're not at the gym, you got to do it. I mean, there's no excuses. I have to say there's no excuses, but I think health comes above anything else. I think he did struggle throughout the last couple of weeks to really make weight. I think he really pushed it so hard to the point that he even had to go to the hospital. Was he dehydrated completely? So there was no benefit for him to continue with the fight. No, he didn't make weight. Yes, that's the mistake that he's probably going to learn. And we talked about in his last fight in a draw, there were a lot of different things that he learned from that fight that we were hoping to see in this fight. There's another thing he needs to come back and sit back into the drawing board and make sure that, hey, listen, what can I do to maintain myself in weight? I got a commitment right now, and I'm a potential prospect, as we talked about before. You need to come out in good shape. So whatever it was, I hope he's not sick. I hope he didn't, whatever it is. But a little bit disappointed. I was hoping to really see how last night, to be honest.
And the thing about it is, as Brandon says, we would give him the benefit of the doubt if this is the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
But he had these issues at 130 pounds last year, and then now that he's moving up to 135, and he still can't make weight. I don't know. I'm not inside the camp. Maybe he is a big boy, but that's just red. It screams red flags to me. Maybe he needs to move to 140. I don't know. But it's sad that these opportunities don't come around that often. Top Rank, ESPN, it's gonna be hard to top if the Top Rank decides to let him go because they feel he's not dedicating himself the proper way. And then I'm big time disappointed because he was fighting one of Dallas's own, Alexis Del Bosque. He's from here, from Dallas. And I was really looking forward to seeing what he can do against Manny's boy. I was going to rub it in if something happened.
We knew that was coming.
I was extremely disappointed when we got the alert. Adorno's, that fight is canceled. I said, no.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it that I think that he is in real trouble. I know he's got the support behind him. He's got the name. Puerto Rican fans like my boy Brandon and Manny and Elcano are hype about him. I mean, hell, he's one of my top prospects. But if you're not dedicated, if you can't make weight, you're not going to be able to fight. And, at that point, it doesn't matter. And, yeah, it isn't the first time. He's a repeat offender. And I got to be honest, I was kind of going into the fight. That was my upset other than Franco, I guess technically that was an upset, but that was kind of my upset. Like I was thinking, when people don't make weight, that's kind of a red flag to me, right? And I knew that. I thought that going into the fight, who has more to lose, who has more to gain, and I felt like, the guy from locally here in Texas. I mean,
Alex.
Yeah, Alex. I thought that he looked so focused, right? He looked so ready, and like I said, that doesn't tell you what's going to happen in the ring, but. I mean, it was an indicator, and I hate it didn't happen. And not saying I don't want Adorno to fall off the map. I'm still a big supporter. I hope he can turn it around. But the thing is, you can't want it for somebody. You can't make them be dedicated and care about it. And especially when he has so much support, it's just I hate seeing wasted opportunities. My pops and I yesterday we talked about Adorno for like freaking 30 minutes. Right. I mean, how can you allow this to happen? Everybody's so excited about, what you're doing, your brother coming along. But now I see, and our boy Elcano said that's why his younger brother has so much more support and potential because he's shown way more dedication. And dedication is a big part of it.
Do they feel he's better than Joseph Adorno?
Yes.
Yeah. Is he the better Adorno brother, the younger one?
That's the debate we had. Remember when we went back and we analyzed the top 5 prospects? A lot of us had blessed hands ahead of his brother because his brother has what 2-3 fights only.
That's right.
We still wanted to see more of him, but he does have the potential to be there. And according to sources, he's more dedicated. And I don't want to say that he's not dedicated, but you got to be concerned at one point if you're not making the weight at any given point, and it's become repetitious of this action. You're going to suffer the consequences. And I think Sean is right. I think he probably, he's on the verge to say, listen, man, this is a fight, a card without fans. Can you imagine with fans, those fans who pay tickets to go see him?
Can you imagine Brandon?
It's a great point. You'd have a lot of pissed off Mannies.
A lot of pissed off Mannies.
I gotta see it both ways. I'm hoping that it's not health issues, right? And I apologize.
That's why I've been.
But when it's because your negligence of that, you're responsible to make sure you and your camp. Because if you don't listen to your camp, then that's the boxer's fan. You're your own boss. But your camp, it has to be behind you. And if you're having issues, hire a company. All these young guys that are talented, that have a potential to be future champs, they're hiring people like Perfecting Athletes, Fitness Infusion. They're hiring a lot of these companies that can help you maintain your weight. He seems to be a pretty tall and strong guy that barely can make that weight. But if you don't want to move up, then do something about it. That's what I want to come in for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I definitely wanted to touch on that because if he is having health issues, then hey, it's just gonna make me look like a jerk, criticizing him about not being able to make weight. But if it's just pure, the fact that he couldn't make 130 last year is what's throwing up the red flags for me. And then you got 5 pounds less to lose. Alex Del Bosque went in at a peak. 134. He was ready. He did his job. He did his obligation from the contract. I don't know knew about this. He probably had more time than Del Bosque to get ready because he is the house fighter.
Right.
So it's
That's
just
a great point.
It's disappointing.
We can't blame the pandemic. How many fights have we had that have been canceled because of weight? So far after after the pandemic and they started ESPN, none. All the fights have been canceled is because someone in their camp has had contact with someone that tested positive.
Yeah.
He is the first fighter that could not make weight and had to cancel because he was dehydrated. Of course, he had to be. He had probably 140 pounds. Maybe 3 days before the fight to be that dehydrated to try to make it. I don't know. I'm just assuming, but yeah, it's just disappointing. I wish he's okay, and I wish he could come back.
Yeah, I just hope he's okay.
He ain't getting another chance. If he gets another one, man, blessed hands. You have got to make sure you come back at the advantage.
Well, hopefully he does. Great stuff on that as always. Our boy Brandon says lack of dedication to his craft will ruin his career. I think it kind of already has.
Yeah. I mean, how many boxers would have loved that opportunity? How many boxers would relish that role? They would have loved to be one of the first boxers out there, take full advantage of it, just squandered away.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Very good point. And I'm sure Top Ranks is just looking at their pool saying, man, I should have, could have, would have picked someone else to fight. Okay. And I'm sure that probably that person was ready and is being ready for that special call. Let's talk about that call.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking from the standpoint of being a selfish fan, but for Alex Del Bosque, he lost the opportunity to show his skills. I mean, do you know, Hopper, if he's going to get rescheduled, or have you guys heard anything? What's kind of the game plan? I know because it'll stop because
I haven't heard anything concrete. Nothing concrete, but obviously the word in Top Rank isn't happy with him, understandably so. So we'll see what happens if he might not even have a promotional company after this. We'll see, man, because they're gonna, or he might not get the promotional push that he has been getting.
Yeah.
So, but hey, we'll see, right? So definitely, just real quick, on the rest of the cards, Miguel Contreras decision to Rolando Vargas. It was a very clear decision, very entertaining fight. Miguel Contreras was clearly better, sharper throughout the whole fight. Vargas was very wide with his shots, and then in the heavyweight division, minor upset, Germán Holguín upsetted Adam Stewart. He was 8-0 coming into the fight. 36-year-old, still had some game in him. So that was a minor upset. Germán Holguín from Utah now improves to 8-3. And real quick, we're going to touch on the Saturday card, the Navarrete card. Vaquero Navarrete, the WBO junior featherweight champion. He was fighting at 126 pounds. He started slow but picked up quickly. The body work was what did the trick. Dropped him in the 5th and then in the 6th again before he was stopped. There's probably no chance Navarrete goes down to 122 again, and he's probably going to relinquish his WBO belt. And I know which knockout he's talking about. The one like two cards before that. That was a sensational knockout. But Navarrete, we all kind of knew that he was going to win, and there's no excitement when you kind of already know who's going to win the fight. And the whispers of Leo Santa Cruz are getting louder and louder with this young man. It was okay when he burst on the scene when he won his championship belt, but lately it just seems like he's been fighting guys that we know he's going to destroy. And at 126, he's not going to have a belt. But first, before I move on, what you guys think of Navarrete's performance?
I mean, it's kind of like you said. It's like anticlimactic. You go in there, he's going to outwork the guy. He's going to wear him down. He's going to dominate, and he's going to break that guy's will and spirit. and he's just gonna go El Vaquero on his ass. You know, I mean, it just kind of like you said, it's so anticlimactic. He's not even ever really in any trouble. You know, it's not like they're ever. It's just a matter of not, but it's a matter of when. And I hate saying that because it does sound like I'm being negative towards him. I mean, I want to. My fear is what you keep saying, and you put that in my head. Thanks to my brother Hopper, that if he becomes the next Leo Santa Cruz, what a missed opportunity he has been, because he's way too talented and way too skilled for that. That being said, though, should we also kind of tap the brakes in fairness of health, you know, like we kind of did for Adorno, because he has had 6 fights in 13 months. So, you know, is that kind of part of it? Maybe we need to space him out more to have a real threat.
You know, that's his rhythm, to be honest. And when you're a boxer, young, talented as he is, and you're in a rhythm of fighting constantly, if you actually space yourself, you kind of lose some of that, you know, activity that you had, right? So I feel like this is just his style. He wants to continue to be active. He wants to continue to be fighting. That's why he goes to Mexico and fights every other week. Then we come back. Yeah, I still need to see Navarrete handling a little bit more defense. Navarrete, he just throws a lot of punches, doesn't get tired, man. I was exhausted just by seeing him throwing punches and all over the place. But keep in mind, you're going into a featherweight division where people really punch a lot. They're a little bit hardened right now, and so you can't get careless at times. And I think that's my only concern in Navarrete. He just want to finish everything as a knockout, and you can actually wear out real quickly with top guys that are in the featherweight division. It's a little bit. Couple pounds north, but it makes a big difference if you're going to any of the major top champions. On the featherweight, he's gonna have to really adjust. But you know, man, this guy is gonna be a future, and I'm gonna call it right now. I'm gonna say it. I hope he stays healthy, but this guy has the potential to be the future top best pound for pound. He can probably go all the way down up to the, you know, Walters at the end of his career and still become a champion. So who knows? He's a big guy. He's just still young.
Yeah,
he's fighting. I mean, tell me
big
stuff.
kid.
Yeah, it's a big kid. I foresee this kid having an amazing career if he stays healthy, and if he slows down eventually. You're right. Eventually, he needs to slow down. Is it right now the right moment? I don't think so, but he will.
I mean, at this point,
definitely.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, I just wanted to real quick the knockout that Brandon was talking about was Sergio Sanchez when he knocked out Gustavo Pina. Google that. If you haven't seen that knockout, Sergio Sanchez over Gustavo Pina on that Navarrete undercard, it was nasty. It was like a half hook, half uppercut, knocked him out. He was asleep before he hit the canvas, and I'm talking about Pina. So that's the knockout that I wanted to bring up. But yes, back to Navarrete at 126 pounds. They probably want him to fight for a belt next. And let's take a look at the rankings real quick for the WBO. So he's expected to be afforded a title shot sooner rather than later because he was the WBO champion at 122. The current champion at 126 is Shakur Stevenson, but he's expected to drop that since he's going to be fighting now at 130. The first ranked contender would be Michael Conlan. That would be a great fight. Michael Conlan versus Emmanuel Navarrete. Does Top Rank want to put these two guys against each other?
That's a possibility.
That I was getting the number. Number 2 is Ruben Villa, southpaw from Salinas. Number 3, Ron Walsh from England. But the more realistic fight that's going to happen is probably Navarrete versus Jesse Magdaleno, who's ranked number 4, 28-1. That's an easier fight to make. I think if Jesse Magdaleno doesn't get thrown to Pitufo Diaz, they'll definitely be thrown to Emmanuel Navarrete.
Man, I hope you're right, man.
Yeah.
You know, I know that he is, you know, obviously a freak in his work, volume of work, is the amount of fights he's had, so many. You know, I hope that he does fight Jesse Magdaleno. I know it's early as hell because it hasn't even been announced, but would that at least satisfy the quench your thirst of real competition, you know, and not have him in the shadows of.
I wish that Shakur Stevenson would give himself at least 6 more months and stay at the featherweight, because I would love to see Shakur being challenged against a top-notch prospect. Both guys, pound for pound kings in the future, the Latino, the American, Shakur Stevenson. And there you go. Shots for that, Hopper. Shakur Stevenson and Navarrete. That will be my ideal fight at the featherweight division. I think it will boost the division, and I think it will create awareness to the people around there that, hey, this division is not controlled by only one person. So the other champions, Josh Warrington, watch out. Gary Russell, man, we talked about a lot of Gary Russell, and Gary Russell, accordingly, there's no competition for him there. Who knows?
Nobody wants to fight him other than Loma.
Nobody wants to fight him. And I tell you what, don't even ask Navarrete, would you like to fight? Because he'll answer you before you even finish the question. Bring him on. This guy doesn't fear anyone. So I wish he would stay. If he doesn't, that's fine. We're still going to have great matches. It's just very sad that it'll kind of diminish the possibilities for Pitufo to kind of contend there in that division, but that's okay. It's going to be very strong. It's going to be really good. And, man, featherweight division, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's definitely looking good. So, and that's what was last Saturday. We had Tuesday was on and popping, as they say, entertaining as hell. But we have some great talent coming in. One of my favorite guests for sure, Abraham Supernova, is going to be fighting tomorrow. So I'm excited. Orlando Gonzalez. So again, I'm definitely excited for that card tomorrow. And then, of course, the other Maloney brother, and I can't lie, I want to see how that fight ends up. I want to see how the scorecard looks. I want to see how it just kind of all plays out at this point. And, I can't see the other brother not getting the nod, but hey, he's got to earn it. And, again, I've really enjoyed these cards, and I think that they're showing that they can bring quality. And that's the thing. They're being very creative as far as their adjustments, too. When you have fighters that have to reschedule because of, dehydration like Ordonez, or like Pedraza because of COVID-19. You had another reschedule that had to do as well. So I think they've done a good job as far as shuffling the cards. And, maybe it's just because I'm just thirsting for boxing that bad, or are you guys really enjoying it?
People don't understand that this is a chess game, and what Top Rank is doing right now is taking their best pool of prospects and they're putting them against each other. And if you look at as you talked about right now, Abraham Supernova, he did his pro debut with Top Ranks, impressive. We see the caliber of boxing he is. He's ready to fight anyone. They're bringing out Avery Sparrow, which is 10 wins, 1 loss with only 3 knockouts.
He's out of jail?
Yeah,
he's out of jail already?
What's that?
Did he make it out of jail? Did he get out of jail already? He was the one. He was the one that got caught up in Ryan Garcia was waiting for him at the weigh-in, and he never showed up. Turns out dude got arrested.
So who knows? If that's the path they're taking. But I definitely would see Nova, progressing. I don't think he'll be quickly in a title shot. It's just guys. This is a business, and it's sad. And if I was a champion, if I'm a boxer, then I know my talent, and I'm ready for the big names. I'm ready for unification. I'm ready for the glory. It's very difficult to go down there and say, well, I'm going to take number 5 and number 6, just like what happened to Franco. All of a sudden, Maloney lost his shot against Franco. There you go. Just because you're thinking you're taking someone that is not as highly ranked. And that could definitely backstab you. But in the meantime, nobody has to do what he has to do. He's got an opponent in front of him. Hopefully, fight goes through, and he's got to make a statement and show and prove that he belongs in this division. Orlando Zurdo de Oro Gonzalez, not a well-known boxer in the United States. I had him ranked number 6 on my top prospect list. This kid has amazing talent, 14-0 with 10 knockouts. Clearly has great power. For being a featherweight, is still going to be a while before he becomes a world champion, but he's got the potential to do so. The most important, man, he projects himself well. He's very smart. He's also finished, school. He's got a BA. I forgot what he's got a BA on, but he's also a great prospect that you gotta be able to watch tomorrow and enjoy his style of boxing. He's got his own YouTube channel. We're hoping we can have him in the studio in the future. But he's there in the community. He's there with his fan. He's there with his people. And I tell you what, he's got a lot of support. We talked about, Vargas the other day, the lack of support that he doesn't have in the island. Zurdo de Oro has a lot of support, people backing him up, and that's huge. That's important. So I look forward to this 2 fights tomorrow. Hopefully nothing happens that stopped in there, but this is going to be a great card. Yeah, no cancellations. I hope that no one gets, with COVID-19 or no one dehydrates or no one starts twerking now. I think that's the new thing now doing, right?
Oh man, please God, no. I cannot touch that. No.
Deontay Wilder doing his thing, man. My God.
No, that's funny. That's I don't even know what to say about that. Do we have footage of that or
God. Yeah, we do.
Oh my God. What have we gone through nowadays? Oh goodness.
Oh, I guess he's enjoying his time off.
Oh my goodness! How many pounds is that pair of jeans? Is he squatting?
Is that how he prepared against his fight versus Fury? Or I don't know. Hey, to each his own. That's a certain dance style that I myself wouldn't post or do or try or anything. I've posted dancing videos on Facebook. You guys have seen them. Nothing like that though. Twerking is not my cup of tea. Respect to you, Mr. Wilder. I'm just gonna. When I saw it, I said, "Okay, that's his preference."
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you guys kind of see my reaction. There's really not much to say. It. I mean, clearly, yeah, he's enjoying life.
He's at a loss for words.
Yeah, I mean, he's enjoying
that's your brother,
life.
Bro. That's your bro.
Yeah,
stop talking. Start getting into the gym. Learn some boxing skills. Get ready for Tyson Fury because you got a lot of stuff ahead of you. Instead of just showing your non-skilled twerking abilities.
Oh man, that's here. Yeah, but I mean, the thing that's I mean, obviously, yeah, you can argue the whole thing about he's spending time with his party, and his family, and but he's been saying how he's been, injured, and how he's not healthy. That's, to me, the more glaring concern. Again, this guy's making excuses and, and shown to be not telling the truth. So I know he had a huge hardcore fan base and they're going to rip me to shreds, and that's fine. But, I mean, I don't have time for liars. I mean, hey, if that's his lifestyle, to bend over for, his family and, to work, hey, do you. He clearly did. And then it wasn't like it's somebody, he knew that it was being posted. So, hey, he's comfortable in his own skin. I mean, he wears 40-pound dresses. Do your thing, brother. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I have to like it. So, I mean, I don't. I mean, so again, yeah. So again, no, I would never do that. All right. So again, the argument of
where's their twerking video at, Manny?
It's totally shot to hell. It's totally shot to hell because, man, I don't care where he's from. I'm not supporting that. I mean, so, no thanks. Oscar Fishnet. Oh, my God. Here we go. Brandon.
Oscar Fishnet.
Oh, man. And so it begins.
Wow.
So it begins. All right.
Oh, that's funny, man. That's funny. Good times, but.
Yeah. Good starts tomorrow. Very important. Great action tomorrow. Just forgot to mention the opponent of Zurdo Gonzalez. He's Luis Poroso. He's an ex-Olympian for Ecuador. 15 fights, 2 losses, 8 knockouts. So a great card coming up tomorrow. I'm excited. Oh my God! Next week we got more cards, and then we got 4th week set and done. Woo! A lot of actions. And I listened to you guys on our last podcast. I'm excited because we weren't even seeing any kind of Puerto Ricans in action lately, and all of a sudden they all kind of came out and they're all starting in our cards. So that's good to watch. But man, championship fights. Last night we saw one. Sadly enough, Jamal Herring won't be defending against a great opportunity against Jonathan Oquendo. He really had a legitimate chance to really, compete against Jamal Herring. We wish Jamal Herring the best. He came in positive for COVID. I did see an interview today at ESPN. He looks great. I don't think it really affected him a lot. And, they're probably going to reschedule that fight soon, just like they did with Pedosra and Lapierre coming up in July the 2nd. Good stuff, guys. I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely.
Great stuff.
Hopper, did you want to get into the Eddie Hearn quote that we did on Chris Manning's show, or do you want to save that for next week?
We can save that. We can save that for some other time. I think we've covered all our bases here tonight. We've got great boxing last night, great boxing action coming tomorrow, Saturday, next week. Hey, let's just save it for a rainy day.
Absolutely.
It's not going anywhere.
You're not going to talk about Papa Hearn being upset?
Not at this point, not right now, because it might. Then I have to kind of take shots at Canelo. I don't really feel like doing that right now. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'm taking the shot at Lomachenko. I'm just excited.
You'd have to take a shot at Lomachenko, so with this franchise champion. No, I think that's a conversation we could have. We definitely have some other time, because I have a feeling we're going to spend 20, 30 minutes talking about that.
No, that's great. So that's like a little sneak preview for those that are sipping the tea right now. So what my brother's talking
we'll be
about
talking franchise champion.
We'll be talking franchise champion next week. We'll be talking about these cards. We'll be talking about these great events. So our boy Brandon, real quick, he says Oscar Valdez versus Jason Valdez is a fight decided for July 21.
Watch that one.
Hey, that's a big card.
My birthday, man, and so I'm excited. The day before my birthday, we're gonna go see Jason Velez in action again against, champion
Hopper's boy.
So again, it's boxing is back, baby. I'm loving it. And then also too on next week we're gonna be talking about franchise champions. We're gonna talk about latest cards. And we're going to be talking and digging more into sweat boxing. They have a card they announced on July 27th. July 25th. I take that back.
July 25th. 25th.
Right. Doors open at 5:30 at the Southern Junction nightclub. In Irving, Texas. So we'll make sure
details to come.
Yeah, more details. Be looking forward to that. And
please support that card.
You want to send us out, brother?
And that's all.